Hello, welcome to Dundrolls Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today, we're reviewing The Great Hunt, the sequel to The Eye of the World, Book 2 of the Wheel of Time series, by author Robert Jordan. This was printed in 1990, right, and mass-produced in 1991, right, and published by Tor Fantasy. Gotta love the Tor Fantasy logo. So, this was my first time reading this book, and I gotta say, I love this book. I liked it more than the first one, which I gotta say, man, as a sequel, it blew me away, right? It really did. So there's gonna be minor spoilers in this review. So if you don't want to be spoiled, the rating is going to be in the description, right? So the story for this book, it takes place a month after the events of the first book. Rand Alfor is still in Valera, which is in the borderlands, right? Being trained by Land, the warder, on how to fight, right? You wield the sword, his father's sword, the Heron Mark sword, which is like a katana, right? And you can look at pictures of it. And the girls are getting ready to leave for Tar Valon to get their training, right? And Perrin and Matt are also getting ready to go with them because Matt is still cursed and needs to have the daggers, the evil dagger that he stole from Shadar Lagoff, needs to be separated from him at Tower of Milan, right? While that's going on, the Amaryllis seat show up with a bunch of Aes Sedai, which are the female sorceress of this series, show up at Thaldar to see the horn and to meet Rand Alfor, who is revealed to be the Dragon Reborn and the Emerald Seat, which is the leader of the Aes Sedai. You find out that she knew about Rand from the beginning, and her and Moraine are part of the secret plot um, to find the Dragon Reborn and set him on this course to fulfill the prophecy. Which, if the other Aes Sedai figure out what they're doing, they're not only going to kill Rand, but probably kill the Aes Sedai, Moran, and the Emerald Seat herself, right? Because the Aes Sedai have been fighting male men who can channel the one power, right? Which, if you haven't seen the review for the first book, there's the source of magic in this book is called the True Source, and a long time ago, the Dark One tainted the male half of of the True Source, and since then, men cannot channel without eventually going crazy, right? And the half of what the Aes Sedai do, besides from fighting the Dark One, is subduing, men who can channel, right? And you find out all the different Ajas, the different factions of the of Tar Valon, right? So what happens that kicks off the plot is that where there's a prologue where you see a meeting of Dark Friends getting orders from Balsamon, who's still alive, who's injured and is healing, right? Who still taunts Rand and the others, right? And he's giving them orders, right? And then it sets up that there's going to be hidden allies of the Dark One amongst our characters, right? Laying traps for them, right? So what ends up happening is the Dark Friends show up to the Lord Agamor's castle free Pete and Fane and steal the Matrim's dagger from Shadowgoth, and they also steal the Horn of Alar. Which, when reading the first book, I was like, I forgot that they had the Horn of Alar at Valera. So I'm like, well, why is the sequel called The Great Hunt, referencing the Great Hunt for the Horn of Alar, which, if blown, will bring back the legendary heroes of this world, right? So what happens is Ran and Matt and Perrin team up with Lord Ingtar and 20 other Shannarian warriors, which the Shannarians are like samurais in this world, right? And like, if you ever seen the cover for the first book, where Lan is wearing samurai armor, that's what Lord Ingtar is wearing in this book. So they're on a journey with Loyal, by the way, who's right there, to hunt for the Horn of Valera, which was taken by Pain and Fane, right? While that's going on, the girls are Egwene and Menev go to Tervalan to learn how to become Aes Sedai, right? To learn how to channel their powers. While they're there, they meet the other minor female characters from the first book, including the farm girl that Rand and Matt met when they were when they were traveling to like Camden, right? She's there too. So it's like also Min is there, and Elaine, the daughter heir of Clemlin, right? And what ends up happening is they go on an adventure with this rogue Aes Sedai, thinking they're going to help Rand. Rand is in danger, right? And they end up getting betrayed, and one of them gets basically sold into slavery because not only do our main characters have to fight the Dark One minion, but what ends up happening is the Chinese, a fantasy world version of the Chinese called the Shenchan. However, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's spelled Shan and then Chen, so I just call them Shan Chen. Show up, and they invade the continent where our characters live, and then they turn out to be Archer Hawkwing's descendants who have come back to and to take over the kingdoms, and what some of the weapons that they have, they're armored knights with bug-shaped helmets, right? There's knights with like locust-shaped helmets. There's knights with spider-shaped helmets, and they ride like monsters, like dragon scale, like cats, giant three-eyed frogs with beaks for mouths, right? And they even have like flying monsters, and they capture women who can channel, right? And using a magic collar and bracelet, chain them to other women who can other Shan women who can channel and control them, and they force Aes Sedais to be like living weapons, and they're slaves, right? And they torture them if they don't do what they want. So like you have some, like one of our characters ends up getting like captured and tortured, right? And it reminded me of the Mord Seth from the Wizard's First Rule, the first book of the Sword of Truth series, right? And I'm not gonna spoil anything else. I gotta say, I love this book. There's a lot more action in this book, right? And it's not just, our characters are more proactive in this book, whereas in the first book they were kind of reactive. Here they're proactive. They have goals that they're trying to achieve, right? they're not being the hunted in this book. They're being the hunted. And is like Rand is a badass in the book, and like he was a little depowered because in the end of the first book, he was like, he went like Super Saiyan. He could fly and hurl fire and lightning. Like he destroyed an army of Trollocs. Here, they kind of depowered him a bit. Like he can't fly and he can't use his powers when he wants to. But which kind of sucks. But then, it kind of makes the scenes more tense. And he does learn how to channel, but he has to be careful because if he uses the power too much, he can either burn himself out or he can go crazy, right? But they do a good job of balancing things, right? Some other things that are great is, besides from a lot more action, the stakes are higher. They introduce more characters, right? And they brought up like the world building, the lore building, and the the world building in this book was great. And I really loved how they introduced like lore from the first book and actually plays into effect. And there's like a badass scene near the end of the book where they get like trapped between two armies, the armies of the Sanshan and the army of the White Cloaks, right? And then like Matrum's like, the Horn of Alar, it said it's supposed to be at the last battle, but it's never been said it can't be used before then. So they fucking sound the Horn of Alar, right? And summon the ancient heroes, right? And they proclaim Rand the Dragon Reborn, right? And everything kicks off from there, man. It was a fantastic ending, and there was more to that, but I know I should have spoiled the ending, but like I said, there would be minor spoilers. But it's and I did spoil the ending for the last book. But holy shit, man. It was that ending that made me want to give this book an 8 out of 5. Though one of the problems of the book is they really didn't need to bring back all those minor characters. They even brought back the White Cloak commander and the Captain Dolman, which it took me a while to realize that the White Cloak captain was the same one from the first book, because it's been a month or so since I've read Eye of the World, right? But yeah, and other problems is our characters are still a bit childish. They haven't matured that much, honestly. But that's kind of to be expected. It's only been a few months. Well, at first it was 1 month, but then at the end of the book it's been 4 months, and not a lot time has passed for our characters. Our characters are still 19, 20-year-olds, right? Some of them, I think Egwin's only 17 or 18, right? And the book, I was surprised how dark, because the first book was heroic, epic fantasy, but here there were really dark moments in this book that almost made it dark fantasy, but still epic heroic fantasy, right? And the book is only the sequel is shorter than the first book. It's only 680 pages, right? But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10. And we're gonna try to review each of the Wheel of Time books once per month, right? So the next book is going to be the Dragon Reborn. But the next review we're going to do for this channel is The Dragon and the George by Gordon R. Dickson. And we're going to try to have this up by the 25th, because the 25th of April is St. George Day. And this is obviously a reference. The book is obviously, inspired by the St. George legend, right? Where St. George slew the dragon. So we're going to try to have this. This is less than 400. So we'll probably have it done by then. That's it for this review, guys. Peace. And I know I spoil a bunch of stuff in the Great Hunt, but there was a lot of stuff I left out. You'll still enjoy the book, right?